Brady Tkachuk traded to the Florida Panthers, but the big surprise is that the Minnesota Wild offered a massive package for Tkachuk services. It feels like at some point the Wild will snag a big fish. The only question is who?
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Seth Toupal. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here. Let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, we discuss names we know have been linked to the Minnesota Wild as far as trade possibilities are concerned, and what is the latest for those particular players. We'll also take a look at some other possibilities that may not be linked right now, but could be depending on how the offseason goes. And we'll start by breaking down the Brady Tkachuk trade to the Florida Panthers and why the Minnesota Wild are going to continue to be linked to these players, courtesy of Quinn Hughes. Joined today by Alex Micheletti, and it's fitting, Alex, that we get a chance to break this down on a Monday show because I was literally out on the golf course when the news broke that Brady Tkachuk was being moved to the Florida Panthers. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's again focus on the fact that the Minnesota Wild made another shortlist, and it was another list of the usual suspects, or the suspects at least that have become kind of these Olympic hotbeds. The finalists for the services of Brady Tkachuk included the Vegas Golden Knights, included the Minnesota Wild, included the Florida Panthers as well. And ultimately, from what Michael Russo mentions, the Wild made a massive offer for Brady Tkachuk's services. We'll discuss that as well today, because does that mean the offer that we have speculated has been used in a lot of different cases, or was something else offered? We know that Bill Guerin was a big fan of Brady Tkachuk. So the fact that the Wild were another spot, that another Olympic player was willing to go, is a good thing. But I don't know. Are you surprised at all that Brady Tkachuk decided to go to Florida, or did that feel like kind of the worst kept secret in the world, that he wanted to go to Florida to play with his brother? They host a podcast together. Like, was this just the worst kept secret in the world that Brady Tkachuk was headed to Florida?
Yeah, worst kept, I think. And these playing these international events, I think that sparks it even more, right? They want to team up to be the Bash Brothers, and the rumor is, or you're seeing it online, that they'd be centered by Sam Bennett on that second line in Florida. It just seems like the ultimate villain heel line, WWE style, and it'll be electric to watch. They'll probably be the most hated team in the league, right? They'll stealing that right from Vegas right away, and just the only thing that was surprising was the timing, just on a random Sunday here. And for them to pull it off and to beat all the other offers, maybe that's the most surprising. But also Brady had all the power too, right? And we kind of talked about it off there too. The Team USA group chat has to be on fire right now and influencing a lot of the recent activity here in the offseason.
Yeah, there's been a lot of questions as to whether or not Bill Guerin tampered in some way during the Olympics to get all this moving. And my pretty quick counter to that is he didn't have to. Bill Guerin did not have to, because of the point that you mentioned, is that the players with these no movement and no trade clauses, the players have the ability to kind of dictate how this plays out to an extent, which is kind of what we're seeing with the Dylan Larkin situation. And we're also seeing that these players will handle an organization to a point. Like they'll handle them to a point. And if we look at the tenure of Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa, they had a couple of postseason runs. I was watching the Locked On Senators breakdown of the show earlier before we recorded, and they had a couple of playoff runs, but they did not go anywhere either time. And these guys, after getting a taste of winning gold, winning at the Olympics, they want more of that. And we have seen this in other sports. We see this a lot in the NBA, where these guys say, well, if I can't do it by myself, if I can't lead a team to a title by myself, then I'm going to go somewhere and be part of a group that can. Florida won 2 cups in a row. They got to 3 straight. And that becomes like, hey, I could see myself being part of that. There's less pressure. Brady does not have to be the guy there. He can just go be part of the group. He can just go murder people on the second line, play with his brother. We saw how enticing that was for Nick Foligno to play with Marcus Foligno here. And Nick Foligno certainly is not the same sort of player that Brady Tkachuk is, but Nick Foligno wanted to come here. Chicago was willing to facilitate that because he was their captain and, he was getting near the end of his run. But again, that's a situation where the player dictated and the team was willing to be receptive to that. The series of events that led to this trade was a little crazy too, because you had the separate Mackie Samoskevich to Seattle trade. And then shortly thereafter, and I saw this on X, and I know you saw this too, people were saying like this felt like seeing the Death Star power up in Star Wars, and like you see the lasers, the mini lasers start to come together, and you're like, okay, something's coming here. Because Bill Zito, to his credit, he never gets complacent with that roster. And you see that move and that return from Seattle, and you think, I wonder what that's for. And sure enough, an hour or two later, Brady Tkachuk has made his way to Florida. So 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick in that mix as well, is certainly it's a high return. It's not the return that the Canucks got for Quinn Hughes, but it's a hefty return for a player who is good. But I think myself, I'm a little relieved that Brady Tkachuk did not end up with the Wild, because I think just because of the way that he plays, he puts his body on the line all the time. I feel like he is susceptible to break down while this tenure in Florida is happening. And I guess I'm glad that he's going there as opposed to being one of the pieces here.
It's like Matty Nyes. People are really intrigued by him as well. And Nyes and Tkachuk are very similar power forwards that play playoff hockey all year. And that, like you said, that can lead to some injury, down the line, or, that concerns. And, you saw Nyes get hurt as well. But yeah, it's a gamble, right? But Florida doesn't. It's just like Vegas with McCrimmon. They're cutthroat. They do what it takes to win, and you want to be a part of those types of organizations that are aggressive, and they're here to win. They aren't this. They know this is their window, and what they've given up 8 first-round picks since 2021, and you've won multiple cups down there, so it's worth it. You want to continue to win, take advantage while you can, when you have some of these players that are still in their elite, prime status, and now they gotta figure out what they're gonna do with goalie. That's kind of the only thing that they don't have.
Here's the list of what Florida has done with their first round picks since 2021. So in 2021, they selected Mackie Samoskevich, who they just sent to Seattle. 2022, they traded to Buffalo for Sam Reinhart. 2023, they traded to Montreal for Ben Sherratt. 2024, they traded to Philly for Claude Giroux. 2025, they traded to Calgary for Matthew Tkachuk. 26, they sent to Ottawa for Brady Tkachuk. 27, they sent to Chicago for Seth Jones. 28, they sent to Boston for Brad Marchand. And 2029, they sent to Ottawa for Brady Tkachuk. So
poor Boston. Boston thought, hey, we're going to be getting, when 2028 comes around, they're going to get a top 10 first round pick. That's not happening.
No, they'll be lucky if that pick is at 20. It'll be
Right.
It'll be late 20s at the earliest. But this is what teams do to maximize their cup window, keep their cup window going. Draft picks and prospects are sent for established players and proven players. That is how all of these teams do it. Carolina, they had like a couple of players that they actually drafted. The rest were either free agents or trade. This is how it is done. Draft and develop is rapidly becoming a thing of the past. Is draft and develop completely irrelevant? No, but teams go out and get what they need. They go out and get what they need as opposed to waiting. Nobody waits anymore. Like, we are in the league of what have you done for me right this second. And that applies to players, that applies to coaches, that applies to GMs. If you don't keep your team relevant right now, you're dead. You're done.
These teams that continue to just end up in cup finals, it's not by accident, right? You look at Carolina, they might not have the most like talented team like that, didn't make a Stanley Cup, but they find the right players, right? They find the Jackson Blakes, who was a fourth round draft pick, and he's playing on their second line and is getting really underpaid. I mean, he could make so much more, but they signed a brilliant contract. Look at Brendan Bussey. They find him off waivers. It's just it's just incredible work what they do. They swing for the fences with Rantanen, and it didn't work. But then they get Logan Stankoven in that trade. It's just amazing. I mean, they say Marty Nietzsche's. It's been a good run here, but you're going to Colorado, and they've just they've made it work. And and Rod Brendamore's created that culture where it just, you want to win for that guy so bad, right? Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And then you got Tulsky, the GM, the mad scientist who literally was a scientist. It's just an incredible story.
Carolina was the other team that Brady Tkachuk had on his list, by the way.
Yeah,
and should not be a surprise to anybody.
And we talked about that group chat. The Wild have one of the crown jewels in Quinn Hughes, and you want to play with a guy like that. It just, now Guerin's tasked with trying to get the assets to do it. You can. All these guys could say, hey, I want to play with Quinn Hughes, but a lot of them are already under contract with other teams. And to get those, players, you have to make trades. And rarely now it seems like you don't see a ton of good free agents because teams are trying to re-sign their own guys. They're not letting them get to markets. And so to try to improve your team now, it seems like trading is the way to go. And so, but with the Wild, the drafting hasn't been the greatest to find like guys that are at the NHL level. A lot of them have been stuck in Iowa there, and so they gave up a ton in that to get Quinn, and so now they got to be really creative on how they're going to get more to the team.
Yeah, Florida gave a good blueprint as to how to do it.
Right.
It often takes a setup move
Mhm.
to make a big move happen. So when we come back, we are going to take a look at some of the names that have already been linked to the Minnesota Wild and just kind of where we're at with those processes. So we'll talk about Dylan Larkin, we'll talk about Robert Thomas, Vincent Trocheck, all the names that have already previously been linked. And then in the final segment today, we will talk about some other possibilities that have Team USA ties. Because that feels like that is the key piece to this, is that all of these players have a Team USA tie. So
Mhm.
we're going to go on the Team USA roster and look at the names that could be lurking in the weeds. So that's all coming up as we continue today's episode of Locked on Wilds after this. Today's episode of Locked on Wild is brought to you by Hims. ED is way more common than most guys think, and millions of men deal with it at some point. Hims offers a simple, convenient way to take care of your healthy by connecting you with licensed healthcare providers online and giving you access to personalized treatment options from the comfort of home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just a straightforward process designed to make getting care easier. Taking care of yourself shouldn't feel complicated, and Hims makes the process private and easy to navigate. It's healthcare built around your schedule and your comfort. Everybody has been in a situation where you're in line for something and you run into somebody at the store that you know, and it just ends up always leading to, oh, what are you shopping for? What are you here for? Yeah, nobody wants to be in the situation to have to explain why they're in line at the pharmacy. So Hims takes that process out entirely by taking care of everything from the comfort of home online. 100% secure and discreet, just the way we like it. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/lockedonnhl. That's hims.com/lockedonnhl for your free online visit. hims.com/lockedonnhl. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is the generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. Hims is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now, FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. I watched Team USA's game against Australia on Friday, and turns out this also applies to own goals, because every now and again you get an own goal. If you're Australia, you do that to yourself in a game that Team USA was favored by 1.5 goals. So guess what? That cashed. Team USA wins by 2-0. A lot of yellow cards in that match, by the way. So that was kind of fun. But that's the thing about World Cup soccer, is you don't know what you're going to see from match to match. And it could be that your team scores a couple goals on their own. It could be that they get a little help, but all of these goals count just the same. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked on Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked on Wild your first listen each and every day. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We get you covered doubly this week. So 2 episodes a day all week, the daily double, because the trade wins, they are a blowing. So we'll break everything down for you in detail this week. So make sure to keep it right here on Locked On Wild. And now is a perfect time to join the Everydayer Club as well. 7-day free trial when you join right now. You'll get ad-free editions of Locked On Wild, and you'll get an invite to the members-only Discord server where you can talk with other Locked On shows, other fans just like you. Join the community. Link in the show notes to hop in to the Everydayer Club. We are going to be throwing a lot at you this week, so this is the perfect time to hop in right now. All right, Alex, let's talk about some of the names that have been linked previously to the Minnesota Wild. One that I want to start with, because this felt like it was kind of a swept under the rug, but I think it is important to mention because he is an attractive target. But Robert Thomas is one that the St. Louis Blues allegedly had on the market at one point. I don't know how much I necessarily buy that, but it was put out by St. Louis media that Robert Thomas is not on the market. Now that they kind of have an idea as to the direction they want to go, that is going to involve a couple of other players likely being moved at points this offseason, whether that be Jordan Binnington, whether that be Jordan Kyrou. Robert Thomas is not on the market anymore. The Wild made an offer for him at the trade deadline this past season, and he was not available. So unless you can come up with some way to entice St. Louis to get rid of him, you've got the fact that you are trading with a division opponent, which is not a frequent occurrence.
A rookie GM too, Alex Steen, is getting handed the baton to be the GM. You know, he's been the GM kind of in waiting, but do you want to have that start your legacy as the GM by trading your first line center, Robert Thomas?
Nope.
I can't see him wanting to do that now.
So I'm going to put all of these different players that we talk about on different settings on the burner on your stove. This is on simmer. This is the simmer setting. Like, you have high, medium, low, and simmer. I'm not going to put it off just because we have seen how quickly this stuff can change. I'm not going to put it off, but I'm going to put this at a simmer because St. Louis is not prioritizing this right now. And the price when it would be is going to be exorbitant. So I'm moving this to literal back burner and putting this one on a simmer.
It's a gigantic rival. It's like if the Vikings made a trade with Green Bay. Like, I can't see it happening.
Yeah. Let's move next to let's just kind of get everybody caught up on what's going on with Dylan Larkin. Larkin obviously had the Minnesota Wild as one of his preferred landing spots with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers. I think we can take Florida out at this point because they have $7 million in cap space right now. They have no active goalies on the roster.
A slight problem there.
So they've got to get that figured out first. I'm not going to say that they couldn't do it because we just saw with Brady Tkachuk that there is a way to make anything happen if you're willing. So I'm not gonna say that they're like completely out of it, but I would move them to third of those three. We know that Steve Yzerman went to Dylan Larkin's agent to try to get a couple more teams on that list. I know Dallas is a team that was interested, but Dallas has a Jason Robertson problem first that they have to get figured out. So I would put them on the list too.
How about that bombshell too that came out that Ottawa is really interested in Jason Robertson now, and they might take that to offer sheet, which would that would be chaos.
Jim Nill, I can promise you that if Jim Nill not only misses out on Brady Tkachuk, but then sees Jason Robertson get offer sheeted, he's going to be furious.
Oh, yes.
Like, he may not ever deal with the Senators again.
Right.
So Dallas, I would put as less likely unless they get to the point where they're like, we'll just swap Robertson for Larkin. That would be very appealing for Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see that as likely right now. Vegas, they're certainly in the mix, but it feels like they're going to have to trade players off their active roster.
Hurdle would have to go.
Yeah. So I don't know, but the big thing here with Larkin is that Steve Yzerman has shown that he is willing to wait this out. So
yeah, it looks like Larkin has the power, but
Yeah.
Yzerman could just be, well, I don't have to move you.
Yeah, he is.
But we've talked about this offline a lot too. How, as him demanding a trade as the captain of the Detroit Red Wings, a proud original six team, how could you walk back into that locker room after demanding a trade? I
don't
can't.
think you can.
It would be just craziness around training camp and in the media. I don't think Yzerman wants to deal with that either.
The Senators, some of the Senators reporters, I was following along with that for most of the day while I was trying to nab some birdies on the back nine at Shadowbrook. Great golf course, by the way. They said that after the Olympics, that it felt like there was a shift in Brady Tkachuk and that it became a huge distraction for it just created a bad locker room with that team. And that's Brady Tkachuk. And we didn't even know that the trade rumors were out there. He has been rumored to have been in trade talks for the last couple of years, but there was never anything concrete. The team was always quick to douse that. There was no inkling that there was anything even in the works this year, and that locker room was still bad. The Larkin stuff is out there. It is ugly. If they start the season and are like, hey, just stay home, that's going to get messy.
No, it's really, really, really messy. And we saw here at the Wild with Cam Talbot and Marc-Andre Fleury. Remember that? And just agents at draft just getting into it with Guerin. That could happen with Larkin here this week. And you want to try to get that taken care of as soon as you can. You don't want to have it linger into the fall.
And if the return was what it was for Brady Tkachuk, you would think with all the teams that missed out on that, you would think Steve Yzerman would be like, well, let's strike while the iron is hot. But the other key distinction is that Ottawa did not get any roster players back in that trade.
Very painful. That's,
yeah.
And they're getting firsts from Florida, but are those players even ever going to end up on the roster? That is painful for the guys that are still there too, because they have some really good up and coming players and players that have started to establish themselves.
Yeah.
Sanderson is a phenomenal defenseman. Hey, he was on that Olympic team too, and Tim Stützle is just one heck of a player. He is so much fun to watch, and Batherson's a good player too. They gave Carolina a good run in that playoff series. So they put up a better fight than Philly and Montreal, I thought. They didn't win as many games, but that was an exciting series for sure.
Yeah, so that's going to as far as the Larkin stuff is concerned, I'm going to put him at medium high right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything that is close, but again, I'm going to be fascinated to hear what the Tkachuk trade offer was, because if it was what we know the Wild have available, that's a pretty clear second. But if it is something where it was the better offer
Mhm.
and Brady just wanted to go to Florida more, and you just turn right around and you just send that to Detroit.
Yeah, you go right back to it, and I mean, it has a domino effect on other players. Patrick Kane is kind of just waiting there, saying, if Dylan's gone, then I'm definitely gone too. Or if Dylan, it just kind of depends on how that trade shakes out too, because we know Patrick Kane's Bill Guerin's a fan of Patrick Kane, and he's close. He's on that back nine. You brought up golf. Kane's right at he's getting close to hole 18, and I mean he just saw his great buddy Jonathan Taves retire, and Kane is really close to that, and he wants to try to win right before he retires.
And if Larkin did come to Minnesota,
Mhm.
I'm sure he would be interested in some sort of like a 1 year.
Mhm.
He played for Detroit this past year for $3 million. So it's
Right.
not like his price would be
He
crazy.
made so much in Chicago. I mean,
It would just be so weird to see Patrick Kane after him being a Blackhawk for so many years. It'd just be weird to see him in green and red.
yes, 100%. It was weird to see Brent Burns playing for the Colorado Avalanche. That was really weird. Yeah, you see guys end up in spots you're like, this doesn't look right at all.
The other one that I'll talk about, because I want to kind of correct the record, because I feel like there has been a narrative that has been put out about this player. He just this offseason, you know exactly who I'm talking about. He just changed his agent this offseason to Quinn Hughes' agent as well, Pat Brisson. I'm going to talk about Vincent Trocheck to close it out, because Michael Russo was on K-Fan last week, and when he was asked about Dylan Larkin and said that it's complicated, like there are other teams involved. The Wild maybe don't have as compelling of an offer as others could, and honestly, I think he probably was talking about Florida at this point. But they did what they did for Brady Tkachuk. But he said, if you're looking at getting a player like Vincent Trocheck, it feels like the Wild could have already gotten that done. But
100%. I feel bad for Vinny at this point.
Yeah.
The rumors are just it's absolutely absurd. Not that these guys are like on the same like superstar level, but the Giannis rumors in the NBA and Vinny rumors, it seems very similar that they've just been going on and actually not getting anywhere. But the trade scenarios, it's absurd too.
Vincent Trocheck is a good player. He's a fine player.
Yeah.
He's not I've seen so many people on Wild Twitter that have been calling him a bum, a scrub. He's like a fourth line guy because he played fourth line on the Olympic team. He is a good player. He's a good two-way
Look at some
center.
of the teams that he's been on.
Yeah.
He's highly valued for what he brings to a team and his leadership qualities as well. That's such a huge part of things and how you are in the room, right? And he's loved by wherever he goes.
But what I will say is he is 100% more of a 2C than a 1C.
Yes, yes.
That's the thing.
That's not debatable for sure.
Yeah. So that he would be a good ad, but he would not be a 1C.
He doesn't solve the problem, right? It just that the problem would continue until Bill Guerin gets that done.
He would help deepen your center depth, but you would have to have Joel Eriksson Ek be your 1C. And we've seen that works in flashes, that works in spurts, but that's not a long-term option at 1C either. So,
especially if you're going up against these big boys in the playoffs. We saw it. I mean, yeah.
I mean, you could certainly get him for cheaper, like Russo kind of alluded to. You could probably have already gotten that deal done if he was your target. But between the two, Dylan Larkin helps you more. He costs more, but he helps you more. So those are the guys that have been mostly linked to the Minnesota Wild at this point.
And the pressure's on Drury now too, because the Knicks just won an NBA championship, and Dolan's like, "Hey, we got it done on the NBA side. The NHL side, you're losing me money. You got to get it figured out here too."
And how hideous does that Artemi Panarin trade look now?
Oh,
compared to what Brady Tkachuk just did.
It's awful, and that Rangers fan base doesn't need another letter from Chris Drury.
No, you don't get a chance to write another one of those.
They don't need it. Yeah, it's not going to turn into the Lord of the Rings of apologies series. Yeah.
What we're going to do to finish the show is go through the Team USA roster to see if there are any other players that we could see the Wild looking at that are currently on or that were on Team USA's roster. Some players are pretty off limits. Others, possibly not. So we'll discuss as we finish today's episode of Locked On Wild right after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy Fruity Rainbow. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why the Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy Shots treat your taste buds to an explosion of fruity flavor with a tasty caffeine kick. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. My favorite part about the 5 Hour Energy Fruity Rainbow is zero sugar. Hugely appealing, especially in the radio world. I do not get as much exercise as I should. So zero sugar anything, hugely appealing. But it's also super portable. I can throw one in my pocket, leave one in the car, put it in my work bag. I never have to worry about not having enough space. And as somebody that works super early, you need that kick. You need that midday kick. And 5 Hour Energy definitely brings the heat. So get candy-flavored chaos with Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy Shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Make sure to hit that like button on YouTube and to follow us on all of your favorite audio platforms as well. We've got you covered every Monday through Friday, and we're bringing the double heat this week because it's draft week, free agencies next week. It feels like things are starting to percolate as far as the NHL is concerned. So we'll add to the percolation of that here for you this week. Alex, let's look at the Team USA roster from this past Olympic, the gold medal winning roster that got it done for Team USA, and look at some of the names that Bill Guerin may be targeting from in the weeds or behind the smoke, because there's certainly a smoke screen that feels very Dylan Larkin-y right now. So we're just gonna go through these names and we'll talk about the intriguing ones. Matt Boldy obviously pretty solidly entrenched within the Minnesota Wild roster right now. So that's one that it's good to have in your back pocket. A team that I think would be interesting, because there has been steam that Connor Hellebuck might be the next domino to request a trade, which is so ironic considering that him and Mark Scheifele both just signed matching extensions. And now after 1 year, they are like, at least Hellebuck is like, So that's a team to watch. But Kyle Connor was the next name. I don't know if Connor himself would be a player that would be looking to move, but if Hellebuck does, I would be real interested to see what Mark Scheifele is going to do.
Yeah, he's that number 1C, right? And a Bill Guerin type of player and one heck of a leader as well. And yeah, he's extremely intriguing. Face-off guy, power play, penalty kill. He does it all. That'd be extremely intriguing. It seems like the coaching has been an issue there. I don't think Arneal was maybe the right hire, and it's causing all sorts of issues up north there. And yeah, it's like I said, these group chats, man. It's getting players to say, "Hey, I've done everything that I possibly can. Where's the help around me?" Right? And
Yeah.
it just seems like you know Winnipeg never talk about a team that, it's like the Wild. They've had center issues as well. They really never, they had their 1C, but then they didn't have a 2C. They tried with Jonathan Taves and it just, just didn't work out. And they had nobody really in, funny enough, their AHL team is the Moose, which, it was the Minnesota Moose, but now Manitoba Moose. But yeah, they had nobody down there to really, hold, take the reins there to help in the top six. And so, yeah, they just, it's too bad because, it's a proud franchise there. The whiteouts are so cool, right? For when they
They
have
had it
playoff
first.
hockey. Yes, so it's crazy. But I mean, that series they had the other year against St. Louis was just so epic.
Yeah.
It's too bad. They got to get back in the playoffs.
The epic comeback with like 1.7 seconds left.
Yeah, that was
Unreal.
yeah.
So if Winnipeg does do any sort of like, hey, these guys want out, like I would, if I was Bill Guerin, I would call on Mark Scheifele and just
Yeah, you
say,
make it work. Yeah,
what's it
I
going to
know
cost?
it's same division, but yeah, they at least make that phone call they did with Robert Thomas. This could be maybe a little bit easier to deal with than Robert Thomas,
Yeah.
just based on the situations.
Jack Eichel, he's pretty entrenched in Vegas. Jake Gensel, pretty entrenched in Tampa Bay. Jack Hughes, maybe a name that Bill Guerin circles back to depending on how things go with Dylan Larkin.
Yeah, wait and see. And I mean, like we've talked about all episode here too. I mean, it's amazing that Pat Brisson doesn't have even more clients. I mean, everybody that's involved in this, it seems like they're switching to Pat Brisson and wanting to be in the Hughes ecosystem, and that's why the Wild keep showing up on these lists.
Yeah. Clayton Keller, I think, is pretty safely entrenched in Utah.
Yes.
Dylan Larkin, as we have talked about
Mhm.
extensively. Austin Matthews, how is he feeling about Jim Hiller?
And who knows with Chaika too, and yeah, that situation. They threw up so many smoke screens on possible coaches, and they didn't go with anybody that Hiller was not. No one, like even the entrenched
No.
national guys did not see this coming. I mean, yeah, Joe Pavelski was getting steam, and he's never even coached. So they kept the Hiller stuff under wraps, and yeah, good luck. I mean, it didn't end well in LA, and I don't think Austin Matthews is going to be wanting to play that trap type of system, but we'll see if he can convince him and Nylander, and yeah.
If I had to pick between Jim Hiller and Mike Babcock, I would still pick Jim
Oh
Hiller,
man,
but it would
yes,
be close.
and they know each other. Yeah, it's man, yeah, that's these Toronto franchises and their coaches, man.
Just cursed.
Yeah.
Other names on the list: JT Miller, Brock Nelson, Tage Thompson. Feels like those three are all safe.
Mm-hmm.
At least at this point. Like,
Guerin loves Miller, but just
and
who knows?
I don't know. Like I think New York is not at this point inclined to move him after what it took to get him.
Right.
And then Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, and Vincent Trocheck, as far as the forwards are concerned, are the others. So maybe Bill Guerin is kind of back channeling, checking back in on Jack Hughes.
A guy on the back end, he kind of had a tough Stanley Cup, and I don't think he's it would be just solid there in Vegas. Is Noah Hannafin? I've always liked his game, and if the Wild are thinking to try to improve their back end, that's a name that I think I would just keep an eye on, and Guerin was a Boston College guy, and that's where Hannafin went, and so I've always been intrigued by his game. If that's a name that I would just I'm sure he would love to eventually take over for a guy like Jared Spurgeon if Spurgeon retires. We'll see.
That would be that'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. There are no shortage of options. Free agency is bone dry. We'll take a look at free agency between now and the start of it, but it's pretty thin.
It's funny. Like, we talk about like old friends, and I mean, the guy that's the biggest name at the top is Alex Tuck, and he was deemed not valuable enough, and Matt Dumba was the guy that was kept, and that was that was before Guerin, but just tough.
I remember the Matt Dumba, Kevin Fiala saga quite vividly, and we all know how that played out.
Yes.
That's going to do it for today's episode. We'll see how things percolate here in the early part of the week, but I do get the sense that Bill Guerin is not going to want to be beaten multiple times on these types of deals. So at some point, it feels like something's going to get done. The question is who and for what. So we'll keep an eye out for you. And of course, any big trades happen this week, we'll be on top of it like we usually are. Make sure to hit that like button if you have not already before you head out for today's episode. We appreciate you joining us here for today's show, and we'll have plenty more coming throughout the rest of this week. Locked On Wild is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.